So good evening for our ARE retreat. My name is Wendy, as it says on my thing. My last name is Morrell, and I'm really happy to do this moving mandalas. So for me, mandalas have been, I have loved them for longer than I can remember, since before I can remember. And I can remember seeing them as in consciousness, and just how gorgeous and how beautiful they are. And they reminded me of kaleidoscopes. One of my very favorite things in the world is kaleidoscopes. And I see them as metaphorical for so many things. When you look in a kaleidoscope and you see all the pretty shapes and colors, but then you turn. And it's like the awesome magic happens when the interaction between things. So even like I think the interaction between peoples or different kinds of people, I see it as the same. Everybody's beautiful. It doesn't matter what color or shape or religion, but when there's interaction, that's when it becomes awesome. So I always, when I looked at mandalas, I always thought like, if only they would move. Because, you know, mostly they're still, you see them as still pictures, as beautiful colors like you're coloring right now. So I had an idea that I wanted to be physical bodies moving a mandala. So that's what we're going to do tonight. I created one and we're going to actually become the mandala. So before I start that, though, sort of a mandala, the classical, it's a Sanskrit word that basically means circle. And so that's where it comes from. It's been used in most religions, Buddhist, Hindu, Jainism, Shintoism, mostly in the traditional Asian religions. And they used them for different things. Some of them, the mandala represented deities. Some of them represented the image of life and the universal connection of all things. And to bring them to the Western world, it was actually Carl Jung who sort of brought mandalas into the West. And I didn't know this until I started looking at it, that Jung drew a mandala of his own every day. And he also had his patients draw mandalas. And what he would look at was how interesting that people could create the same patterns unconsciously, not realizing. So he started to look at these as something sort of universal. And he called them actually sort of the universal, I got it written down here somewhere because I'll forget. He has a book called Memory Streams and Reflections. And in it, there's a number of quotes about mandalas that he put together. And he created them, calling them, I just say, it represented the collective unconscious. So he thought that these mandalas and these images were so important to us. And also that they were used in a part where we were the most spiritually aware, that mandalas then informed that and increased that awareness. And I sort of believe in the concept of sacred geometry. So we looked at, some of you guys did the labyrinth today, and I see labyrinths as kind of a form of mandala as well. And I look at it from the concept of sacred geometry, and I really do believe that there is something in these geometric forms beyond the conscious or beyond what we see, beyond what we're looking at, that it actually speaks to sort of an ancient times, ancient rituals, and that is part of all of us. So we have a memory, a body memory, a soul memory, a mental memory. And when we're walking a labyrinth, for example, we've got our body involved, we're moving, we're walking, and we're walking a pattern that's been walked by thousands of millions of people. And every time I take the first step in a labyrinth, I think somebody around the world, not one, many people are taking the same step, in the same design, in the same pattern. And there's something I find about that is quite sort of, it makes me almost, it's that mystery of all things, and that you have these connections that are beyond what we can understand or think about or even feel. So I know some of you are coloring. Can everybody hold up what they're even working on? I don't know, you can look at the camera even to see. Let's see. Have a look. And I think it was Helen was saying something about how when you change the color, everything shifted.
Yeah, everything shifts. It's got a new color.
Yeah, they're beautiful, beautiful. I personally hate coloring. I do. I am not a colorer. I love to see the results of things, but oh my goodness, I find coloring like, oh, shoot me now. You know, I know for many people it's meditative and spiritually awakening, and I appreciate that it is, but I'm just not one of those people. So that's one of the other reasons why I created a moving mandala, because for me, to move is when I color. I color through my body, and I don't know where that came from. I don't know how it works, but I know it does. And so as much as I appreciate the art and I love looking at what people done, I love seeing them when they're finished, to do it for me is not, it doesn't feel spiritually nourishing, I can tell you that. So I just accept that, and maybe it'll change one day. But to date, I don't feel spiritually nourished. I feel kind of frustrated, and a little bit like, oh, can I just be done right now? Like, can I just be finished? So I think probably better just not to do that. So it was around, oh, it was not around, it was in 2014 that a friend of mine, Cherie Hill, who is a dancer out of California, I was bringing her to Ottawa to do a workshop for the organization that I work with. It's called the Sacred Dance Guild. I'm currently the president of that organization. It's been around since 1958, so it's in its 60s, same age as some of us. And it works around the world and with people, just bringing movement to the concept of mind, body, soul. How do we bring this together? For people who may be dancers, but people who may just be people who love to move. It's our physical body is part of who and what we are. And I really do think why things like the labyrinth, the moving mandala, circle dance, some of you talked about doing community circle dances, that there is something in that as well, something in the ritual, something in the repetitiveness, something in the practice of doing it in community that brings us together. Even that little exercise we did on Friday night was clapping and snapping and dipping, small things. And if you look at all the cultures in the world, all of the indigenous cultures, every indigenous culture dances. Every indigenous culture dances in circles. Every indigenous culture does repetitive movement in circles, and they hand it down for generations, and they do that movement over and over again. So there's something in there, whether we get it or don't get it, there's certainly something going on. So for me to sort of try to then take these two things, this concept of the mandala and the concept of the body and moving in a regulated, repetitive sort of mechanism that creates like clockwork, a mandala was really cool. So this gal, Sherry, and I together sort of said, let's figure this out and let's create a moving mandala. And so we had a workshop here in 2014 in Ottawa at the old All Saints Church. Some of you know that. And they have a beautiful round space outside of that church, you know, out in the garden where the park is. And so we created a mandala. We must have had like 60 people. And we created this moving mandala. So that's what we're going to experience tonight. And I've done it now since then. I've done it all over the world in many places. That Rotary Labyrinth you were talking about, we had a couple of hundred people. And we didn't do it and the way we're going to do it tonight with the detail, but we took a simple process of it and sort of adapted it to fit that thing. And that's, I think, one of the beauties too, is the adaptation. You can take anything and you can adapt it to fit the circumstances, the people, the situations that might exist. So that's what we're going to do. I wanted to read one quote from Carl Jung that he wrote about the mandala. He says, my mandalas are cryptograms concerning the state of self was presented to me new every day. I guarded them like pearls. It became increasingly plain to me that the mandala is the center. It is the exponent of all paths. It is the path to the center, to individuation. That's like an interesting, as I think about that. So I like the concept of individuation, but I also really like the collective. I love moving in a collective. I love doing my own thing. And if you're dancing on the floor and you want to go left and I'll go right, and that's all great. But there is also something about moving together, moving in synchrony. And we talked about rhythm. So this will have rhythm. It'll be repetitive, and repetition sort of helps us regulate, helps us feel regulated. And it's a ritual. And so all of these cultures have rituals. So tonight we're going to kind of have our own little ritual. So Zoom folks, I hope you have a little space in your room. It doesn't have to be a big space. You can make it a little circle, as small as you want. If you can't, for whatever reason, you can just do the gestures as they are, and we'll get the rest of it. So let me just think now. Before we start, I need to see a show of hands of who has a birthday between January and April. 1, 2, January and May. 3, 4, perfect. Okay, the rest of you must be then June to December. So that group is going to be what I'm going to call group 1. So you guys on Zoom, if your birthday is January to May, you're going to be with group 1, and everybody else is going to be group 2. So I think we can probably remember that much. So I think what I'll start with is just the 8 gesture. So let's everybody stand up. Now here's a place too. I like Shirley's idea. Martha Graham said, take off your shoes, you're standing on holy ground. And so I'm taking my shoes off. You don't have to, but if you want to, you can take your shoes off. I'm going to stand back here so you guys can see too. And I think, I'll zoom it up. You okay? A little bit shake. Pat yourself up a bit. Yeah, a little wiggle jiggle is always good. I like to kind of wake my body up a little bit. Wiggle and jiggle. So this particular, now I did send this out to everybody, so at least you have some of it, not the whole story, but a little bit of it. So this is done to a piece of music, and this is, we were talking with synchronicity the other day, stand here where they can see. When Sherry and I decided to do this thing on Mandalas, I had this lovely book that I since lent to someone and I can't find it, but that's okay. But we said, okay, we have these ideas. And I said, well, we need to find the right music. And So I go to my CD case and I'm sort of, just doing that little thing down because you have them. And I pulled one out. I have no idea where this came from. I do not remember buying it. I don't know where I got it. Called Movement Mandalas. An entire CD. My kid had it, And on that CD, we found the right one that fits what we want to do. So let's kind of make ourselves into a little more of a circle because we will be circling up eventually. So might as well start that way. You don't worry about your group yet, but that'll come later. Come on in. Don't be afraid. And I always say, I have no problem with people being uncomfortable. I think uncomfortable is a very important thing. It's what they say, a comfort zone is a very nice place when nothing ever grows there. I think we learn the most when we're uncomfortable. If I feel a little uncomfortable, it's like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. I might feel a little bit embarrassed, or I might look. That's where we learn. That's where we have an opportunity. So I say, dive into your discomfort. So let's go with that. So I don't think you guys are, but just in case. So it starts, there's 8 gestures in this. And tonight you'll learn this whole thing. You'll say it. You won't be able to kind of get rid of your intellectual mind because you'll be thinking sometimes. But maybe you'll have a moment or two where it goes away. But if you do this enough times, it's like a labyrinth. It becomes sort of what you do. So the first gesture is just here with our hands beside us. And it says, I am here in the present. Our palms are open and we're ready to receive. I'm here in this present, in this place, here I am. The second one says, I engage in my heart. Because my heart is the beginning of all that I do. I reach out. I reach to community. I reach to each other. I see the people I'm reaching for. That's number 3. I remember them myself, so don't forget. I reach up to recognize the universe. We're part of this big universe all here together. I bring my hands together in what a prayer pose. And that is my commitment and my connection. I'm part of this universe. I have to put myself into it. It's not just enough to have it. I have to connect and commit. I bring my hands back to my heart in a full circle where I go. I take my right hand up and I look at it out here. On my right hand, I give. You bring it back and take your left hand out. From my left hand, I receive. So that's our 8 movements. So let's just go through those. You guys online too? So I'll count them and I won't say it. You can think whatever you want. I gave words to it and images, but you might have different ones, and that's good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So those 8 movements repeat over and over and over again. They don't change. The 8 movements are our repetitive thing that we stick to. But in order to make the mandala, we have to do more than just stand here and do the 8 movements, because that's just the beginning of it. So what I'm going to do is let's see, the best way to do this in this group. Let me have the 4 people who are January. Oh, make it bigger. That's a great idea. The January to May people go in the center. And the June to September people will stay out.
Do we make a circle?
You make a circle in the center, yeah. And the rest of us are circling around you. So now we're kind of like the universe. We're kind of like, now you can do this. I have done this with concentric circles of like 10 different circles of people. But you can just imagine. So with 2. So let's just decide, because we decide that this group is going to walk that way. So just walk in your circle that way. That's it. Walk there. And we're going to walk the other way. So let's just practice walking. It's an excellent thing to do. We'll walk all the way back. You guys just keep going and going. You guys are obviously got to get around the circle many more times than we are, but we have further to go. Okay, so we can just stop when we get back to our place. So basically, yeah, you can be wherever you like it. And if you feel uncomfortable somewhere, that's okay too. You can shift and change it. I don't like it here. Like I gotta move over there and he's gotta move over here and that's all.
I just thought you meant to our place where.
Oh, yeah, no, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that's okay. Wherever you wind up is good. So you guys at home, if you're walking in, just walk in your little small circles if you can do that. So the piece of music we have has a gong in it. Oh, here it is. And it kind of sounds like this. And it happens 48 times, I think it is, with the music going. Now, it's not always in the same, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Sometimes it's 1, 2, 3, and it stops in a way, not exactly. So you never know, so you have to pay attention. We don't fall into that autopilot, says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's close, but not exactly. So sometimes you gotta wait. It's like, oh, no, gone. Okay, gone. So there's a listening part of this that says I'm connecting with the music. It's leading me. I'm not leading, it's leading the body. So we're listening. So the 8 movements, so the gong happens. Now it happens, I think 40 sometimes. The 8 movements we're going to repeat 9 times. But we're going to do something different each of the 9 times. Not totally different, but a little bit different because we don't, none of those mandalas are simple. Right? They're not just one circle and one inside and then we're done. There's little things in there. So we have a different intention for each time. Now, as I said, you won't remember all these and it's okay. It's all written on a piece of paper so I can remember too, but I haven't done this for a couple of years. It's since the pandemic. So this is the first Mandela since the pandemic. Yay. I have done it online once. It's a little bit more complicated, but we have done it. So what we're going to do is the first time we do it, well, let me go back to the beginning. Sorry. The music starts and we're all going to start standing somewhere in the room. It calls you. So you'll hear the first one and wow, this first group goes to their place. The universe being called. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter right now. I'm just giving you the upfronts because we're in the learning mode. This is like the kindergarten learning part. And then the next piece of music and our group comes running in. And then it goes again and we don't have a third group, but we can pretend we have other people that are coming in at their time. And then the gong starts. You have to be ready for that first gong. So we're kind of waiting. And as soon as it starts, we start. What were they again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Excellent. So far, so good. So the first time, I'm going to make sure I do this right since I haven't done it for so long. I do have it all written down. I could mess it up. Okay, just want to make sure. So the first time we do it facing in, just like we are. So that's easy, we know. Then we're going to turn in the direction we're going to walk. Okay? Actually, that's a lie. We're going to turn in the opposite direction to what we're going to walk. You do it again this way. Then we're going to turn and face out. We're going to do it again. Then we're going to turn one more time and we're going to end up in the direction we're going to walk when we start walking. Okay, let me go through that again. We face in. I'll tell you the intentions in it. We face in, we do the 8 things, gonging, gonging, gonging. Then we turn in the direction that we're not going to walk in. If you could do that. And if you turn in the wrong direction, it's okay. You'll end up back there. It's okay. Then you turn to face out. Then you turn back to face in the direction you're going to start walking. Now, the first time we do that, the intention is my past. So we're looking in, we're looking all inward. And as we do the movements the first time, we're thinking of our past. Where did we come from? What's going on? What's our life? Now, you may or may not remember that. I will try to call it out. Think of your past. I'll try. The second time when we turn in the direction, we're thinking of our present. Here I am present in this place with these people. This is what I'm doing right now. It's where I am. Then we turn to face out. We're thinking of our future. Where are we going? What's happening? Where will I be as things move from there? And then we turn to face, and we're going to start walking. And as we walk, we're doing our 8 movements. Let's practice that. Ready? And 1, 2, 3. Changes everything, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, and keep going. 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and one more time. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's kind of like adding a color, right? When you're doing these same 8 movements, somehow they change when you face a different direction, and when you start moving, and your brain says, I can't move and do 5, 6, 7, 8. Like I can just, and it's okay. Your body will start to remember these. This is a process, and you can see that. Now, the intentions of those, we did past, present, future. We do this group the first time. The second time you think of, you're continuing walking, and your family, your friends, your community, and the third time you're walking, it's the world, global. So you're continuing to expand the consciousness of even the mandala as it moves. It's this group moving. It's all the people I know. I'm bringing them with me because they're part of me. And then the whole world is part, we are one. So they're all doing this together. So that's the next intention. Now then, things get a little wonky. Chaos, because chaos is a critical part of all, I believe, of all processes. Chaos is important. We shouldn't put our house there and put foundation down, but pitch a tent every now and then. You know, chaos is important for us to experience. So what we're going to do, this group in the middle is going to turn and face in after we walked around and around, and you're going to do the 8 movements. You're just going to keep doing them. This group out here is going to explore the universe. So we just go wherever there's a lot. Wherever we want, wherever we want. But, like all things, we have a responsibility. We only have 8 movements to get back. Or get in our circle, because this group has to have chaos. So you guys at home, same thing. January to May, your chaos number 1. June to December, chaos number 2. You'll hear it in the music. It sort of changes, but the gongs continue. So you have to be aware, even as we're in chaos. You have to be aware.
Chaos, I'm still doing
Right?
chaos is going to be doing.
No. Coming out of chaos. Getting into chaos is not a problem. Coming back from chaos. Because it's like life, it's metaphorical for life. We are in those places, but we don't go there forever. We have to come home. We have responsibilities. We have things to do. And we got this, folks. You can't just leave them there, 1, 2, 3. Really? They need some time to explore. And we can even go through them when we're in our chaos. It's all good. We got lots of opportunities. So there's 2 chaoses.
We come back to the same place.
Yeah, if you can, it's good to try to come back to the same place. It's a nice thing. The planets go where they go, but if you can't, well, you can be Mars instead of Venus. You make it work. Your job is to make it work. Each of us has a responsibility. So we have a personal responsibility and a collective responsibility. So this to me is very analogous to life, for how we live our lives. We have these things, we have commitments and repetition and ritual. Every now and then we get lost, but we come back. And there are people are there when we get back. There they are, 1, 2, 3. Wow, it's so nice. It's reliable, right? Yeah. And then, I think we only have the one left. I got to make sure. Yes, everyone faces out. And this is the integration. We're going to do the 8 movements, all facing out again, which we did earlier, but now we're integrating. And guess what? If we do this according to the music and we listen to the gongs and pay attention, we don't get 8 movements. We only get 7 gongs. Think about that. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we have the same thing, but 7 and 8 are one movement. Because giving is receiving and receiving is giving. So it ends with the mystical 7 number as opposed to the 8. So we finish in total integration. We are giving and receiving at all times from all people in all ways. So that's a lot of head stuff, right? So let's walk through it again. Won't play the music yet, we'll just walk through it. So let's do our 8 movements. So we all start facing in, and this is our past. So we're starting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then we turn in the direction we're not going to walk. We do them again. This is our present. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then we turn to face out. This is our future. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then we turn and we're going to start to walk. We wait for the gong and we start walking. And the first we're thinking of this group. Here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8. Now we include our families and friends. 1, 2, 3. Global. 1, 2, 3. Eight. Now, you guys are going to turn and face in, and you're going to do the 8 all over again. We guys, the music was a little wonky. You go 1, 2. You keep going. We don't. We are now in chaos. We're in our own. You don't have to do those damn movements for us.
Hey,
Get out. We've forgotten everything we've ever learned. Do it. But listen, they're finished. When they're finished. No, they are. Yeah, totally. We have to be ready to go because you guys have to leave. You now get to run around and go wherever you want. 1. Okay. 2. Run around. 3. 4. Don't do the numbers. 5. Yeah.
All right.
6, 7. But remember, you only get 8 too. Get back in your circle. Chaos is contained. It doesn't quite go as fast as I was yelling.
Yeah. We'll get used to this.
We will, and it's okay. We're going to do it more than once because this is not something you do once.
Okay.
You know, these native communities, indigenous communities, when you see the amazing dances in Africa, in Asia, all over the world, in Canada, you don't think they learned that one night. No. They got generations doing that same movement. So then we're going to turn and all face out. We do the whole thing right now. It's integration. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Both hands up and out. Yeah, don't forget that. That's really important. Number 7. That's important. Are we ready to hear the music?
Sure.
Okay, what I'm going to do is we're going to listen to the music before we try to move it. Just do the 8. Don't try to walk or move, or you can do the little 8, but don't try to do all the structure. You need to hear it. All right, guys. I have to find the music first, of course. All right. Are our Zoom folks still there doing whatever you're doing over there? They're somewhere. Oh, hang on.
Olga was there for a while.
They might have left. It takes a lot more work to do something like this. It's okay to watch for some people. They can watch it, but it is a little more effort. I have done this once on Zoom with about 60 people and just in our 60 Zoom boxes. And we, everybody created their own. It was very interesting. It worked. It's not the same, of course, but it was an interesting experiment. I got to find the area retreat and see if this music works first. That's the call for the first group. So we'll all be standing places in group 1 goes. We're waiting on the universe. This is our call. Third wave is for all the others that aren't here, our Zoom folks.
One here.
Now listen for this first gong.
And then our lighter too. For it?
It turn or not, it doesn't matter this time, just listening. I'm doing it just. Do the sequencing. Some of them aren't quite as quick, yep. We won't do it now, but we would be walking on this one. Continuing to walk, now with friends, family. Global. Now, group one is going to stay. Two. Yep. All three. Get ready, we gotta get back. Now look out for it for the next one. You guys gotta roll. It's fun for us. Get more room. Five. Have time. 4, 6. A long time in chaos. 8. 1. I think we got it right. 2. 3. There's only one gone back. We did, we did. I can tell you, there's many groups who, so there's either one going too many or one going not enough. It's like, where did we miss the gong? Especially the bigger
Double
groups.
sometimes. One sounds double gone on.
It is, you better really, and it's not, and some are soft, and some are different. You have to be attentive. So it's the whole concept of sort of that universal consciousness that says, while I am doing the things that I do, and I walk and I'm doing a lot of things at once. There's a lot of polyrhythms going on here, but I'm also being attentive. Not just to the other people in the room. I'm attentive to the music. I'm attentive to the spacing. I don't want to run into Helen or run over Lewis or knock over whatever. I'm attentive to the timing. There's a lot happening in a small period. And it's a very cool. So is there, are you still online, anybody? We'll let them be whatever they are. All right, are we ready to try it sort of in its entirety?
You got it.
All right, I'm gonna turn that big light on. There's lots of light outside.
It's on the wall right there.
Yeah, there we go. Yes, any questions? That's a good thing. Yeah.
We stayed in our circle for a long time and we never walked. At some point, we're.
Yes, you are. That time I didn't, I was just practicing.
Oh, okay.
We
You'll
will,
remind
and
us.
I will try to, I will try. I may or may not actually do it, but my intention is to remind you both of what to do and what the intention is. But oftentimes I get caught up in it and I forget, my God. But yes, that's the intention. And hopefully with 13 people, someone remembers. If not, we just do what we do. It means we're just like, we're sort of an evolving, emerging universe. We may not be in a fine form yet, you know? I've done this actually with the sort of the things, the planetary things hanging up. It's very cool to kind of just sense it over stars on the ceiling at night in a dark room with just a few lights. It's all right.
There you go.
Yes, don't forget the chaos and stay in chaos. There's a tendency, this is not you guys, it's everybody, particularly in the small circle. There's a tendency to cut it short. Say, I don't know, there's only a few of us and I'm kind of a little, I don't know. But it's hard to do. It is hard, but push yourself a little bit. Only get back at the 7, 8. All right. So from the top. Oh, we're supposed to be out. Get out. Yeah. Sorry, I already was in place. Hang on, we'll go back to the beginning. So we're not in the universe yet. We're being called to the universe. All right. Group 1. I'm present. I feel it in my heart. I see it in my heart, burning the face. Present. Forward to the up to the universe. There's my heart. Up. Good. Picture. My heart, where am I going? give from my heart. Receive in my heart. Ready to walk? 1, 2, keep walking, start walking it. And now, 3. Thank you. And here, my friends, my family are with me in my heart. Okay. Let's see. The world, the globe, everybody in the world is here with us in our hearts. Forward. Into my heart. Give from my heart. I receive it to my heart. 1. Here. Number 2. Number 3. I'm standing still, you don't have to look my 4. Into your heart. To your right. Ready? And your left. You're 2, ready? 1. 2. Breathe, keep going. 4. 5. 6. Ready? 7. Back in your place in 1 minute. 8. Don't turn out. Integration. 1. I am here in this place. I connect with my heart. I reach out to community, to the world. I reach out to the universe. I connect and commit. I return to my heart. I give and I receive. Wow, you did it. That's pretty wild, you guys. That is great. Right. That's something you could do like 10 times. You know, you could do it out in the labyrinth. You could do it in different places. But I think sometimes our brain says, that's enough for now. We might do it again a little bit later, but let's take a break for a sec. I have a. So first of all, any questions, thoughts, ideas about mandalas in general? Any of your own personal experiences?
Well, I was thinking of those electromagnetic or frequency ones with the iron filings
Yes,
that they change the frequency that forms a mandala.
absolutely, absolutely. And if you take anything, if you put like a salt on a table or a piece of metal and you use a drum beat or hit, it all moves into fascinating patterns. And each time you hit it or do something different, it's a different pattern. So they're creating mandalas from the frequency. Yeah, totally. Any other kind of ones that people have seen or experienced or?
I just think what you did showing us tonight is fantastic, much better than coloring for me too.
Oh, thank you. I do, I mean, I appreciate coloring, but you know, yes.
You know what reminds me of this pendulum?
Yes,
When I was
yes.
up at
Yeah.
seniors camp, one of the
Yeah.
women there
Yeah.
knew it and
Mhm.
showed videos of like in wherever it comes from.
Bulgaria.
Bulgaria.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
circles and wheels, the
Yeah.
people doing it's beautiful.
And that guy who created that, created the mountains, and he believed that, his name Peter or something or other.
Yeah.
What was that?
No.
No, it's another Peter. Oh, he's long ago. But he had very specific movements, same idea as those eight
That's right.
gestures.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
specific movements that you did at sunrise every day, because he believed that that was integrating, bringing the sun, and that you had to do that kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely. It has a similarity to that.
We were doing Penny with me at Shadowgate one time.
Yeah.
Dallas was there, somebody else, there might have been two.
Mhm.
And when we stopped, we looked up, and there was 3 hawks right above the
Oh, yeah.
this really tight circle, right
Mhm.
in where our energy would have been going
Yeah.
up.
For sure it will attract things.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this simple thing here, I've done it with little children. They're wonderful at it. And without understanding anything, they get it. You feel the energy shifting. I was telling someone earlier, I often took people from Silver Spring Farm, which is a place for handicapped adults, different kind of handicaps. And if they would get agitated, I would hold their hand and take them in the labyrinth. By the 3rd ring, I could feel everything in them shift. You just feel it. It just shifts in them. So and they did, there have been studies done, I think it was John Hopkins or someone did studies with cows and milk production. They walk cows through the labyrinth and their milk production increases. And it sounds like, why would anyone do that? I'm not sure. But just thinking in terms of how this integration, this attunement that's happening. I get Dallas?
When you were in Morocco, did you notice the Arabic calligraphy and
Yes, yes,
tile work?
yes.
I don't know if it's the mandala, it's not as intricate, but
Well, it's a pattern, and mandalas are circles by the word mandala means a circle. But they are patterns, and they're often in circles in bowls.
yeah,
The rose window, you were talking about the rose window chart, that's a mandala.
they developed that art form because the religion prohibits them from painting pictures of life,
Yeah, yeah,
because that's imitating God. Only God can do that.
yes,
So you have to-
yes,
You have to have a non-God like
Yeah, yeah.
artistic work.
yeah. Interesting how we adapt ways to get the things that we need beyond the religious context or the rules or the this or the that, and we adapt it to fit the things that we have to have. They're part of our historic, it's just part of I believe it's part of what we are. When we talked about that, you said oneness, that is what oneness is, and that sacred geometry, there's a lot of work and books and videos and things on sacred geometry. It's fascinating, some of the things that come out of that.
The Tibetans use the sand.
Yes,
to
the sand.
indicate the prettiest, most beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
It's impermanent. They reckon, right?
And look at that's the idea of impermanence, right? That you can't have permanence, nothing is, and look at the Shinto, the Zen gardens that are done, that they rake into circular patterns that are stunning patterns, Crop circles, same, all of those things. I mean, to me, it's inherent in all the things that have been found. And we don't know, we talked about the labyrinths today. There's the classical 7th circuit. There's many different, but the classical 7th circuit is very well known. It's been found all over the world, and they didn't have email. So they weren't emailing little JPEGs to each other. The Chartres Cathedral labyrinth, that came a little later as far as we know. And so that there may have been sharing of that particular pattern. And the Christian group in the 12th century and 13th century, they took that pattern, and in those 11 circuits, they've created a lot of Christian symbolism, etc. But, it doesn't mean anything. It's like every group, all of these groups take these symbols and make them their own. It's like, that we took a lot from the pagans and then made them into Christian symbols. Well, they didn't start that way. So, I think there's a lot of, we've just shared them, and that's okay. I think the idea of saying we own it is something that I have a problem with. It's like we can share the rituals, the symbols, we can make them our own. We can understand them through whatever context culturally we have or whatever, but we don't own them, we don't own these mandalas. Anybody else have different experience with that? All right, well, let's keep moving then. So again, we'll do something different. I was playing a song earlier and I didn't plan to do this, so this is unplanned. So let's stand in the circle again and let's all turn and face somebody. Thank you, Barbara. Why are you doing that? I don't know if we have, I think we have an odd number, so I'll be the odd person out, which is fine. You're gonna face Barbara, Ellen. Go this way. Just face, like you are, just know you're gonna face this, they're gonna face Sam. So everybody face one person.
Oh, we're facing each
Yeah,
other?
and you can come over here and face Alan. I'll just be the odd man
Oh,
there. I'll be the odd woman.
Okay.
I'll just be odd. It's kind of not hard.
Be in the middle.
I'll be in the middle, yeah, sure. So this is, I was playing a song earlier called "A Sacred Womb." I'm watching the Mandela made me think about that, and I'm doing a thing tomorrow on birthing, so I'll fit it together for some reason. So this is a piece, and some of you might have done this before with me somewhere. So this is called "A Sacred Womb of Love and Grace." So everybody on that set, you're gonna put your inside hand, you're gonna see it, like this is the center of the Mandela, the inside hand. Whatever, that's the inside, right? Oh, sacred womb. And then cross of love and grace. So, oh, sacred womb of love and grace, just pass. Crossing your arms like that, right? Then it says, I can feel you all around me. Just make a turn, full circle, all the way around, back to facing your partner. I can feel you all around me. And then it says, I lift my hands, so I'll pretend we're gonna do it. I lift my hands, so we do to touch and bless you. And then you hold the hands of that person. And you say, for we are held and carried in this holy place. You walk by them and they go to that person and you come to this person. Always gonna walk in the same direction. You're not like, okay? So you're actually, it's because I butted in there. So you're always gonna walk in the same direction. Whatever direction you're facing is how you walk. And you just cross and you'll find somebody next to you.
Okay.
Then we all turn and face him. And then there's a verse, and the verses are so cool. And we just take 4 steps in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we go up. 2, 3, and then we face that person that we just met. I know, I'm confusing everybody. You go with her and I'm out of the way. Doesn't matter, you're just supposed to be there. So then we're back to, oh, sacred womb, inside out, of love and grace. I can feel you all around me, big circle all the way around the face partner. That's it. I lift my hands to touch and bless you. And bless you. For we are held, hold your hands for a minute, look in their eyes. And carry. Walk the way you're walking. Just walk one person away. Walk in this holy place. And then we turn and face in again. And we go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna get the music. I didn't know if we have everybody on Zoom. You can practice this too. That's okay. This is hard for.
Yeah, we're watching.
Yeah. Now let me just, I gotta find it. Oh, there it is. Blessing of the Divine One.
O sacred womb of love and grace, we can feel you all around us. We lift our hands to touch and bless you, for we are held in this Blessed be this womb where we can move and dance and breathe. Blessed be this womb that holds us safe and warm within. O sacred womb of love and grace, we can feel you all around us. We lift our hands to touch and bless you. We are held and carried in this holy place. Blessed be this womb where mama's heart is beating strong. Blessed be this womb, she rocks us gently to her songs. O sacred womb of love and grace, We can feel you all around us. We lift our hands to touch and bless you. We are carried in this
Seven verses.
Blessed be this womb, your wondrous love encircles us. Blessed be this womb, where darkness folds and nurtures us. O sacred womb of love and grace, we can feel you all around us. We lift our hands to touch and bless you, for we are blessed be this womb that feeds our bodies and our souls. Blessed be this womb where we are called to root and grow. The sacred womb of love and grace, we can feel you all around us. We lift our hands to touch and bless you. We are held and carried in this womb. Blessed be his womb where we can trust and gently learn. Blessed be this womb where we must struggle, kick and squirm. A sacred womb of love and grace, we can feel you all around us. We lift our hands to touch and bless you, for we are held and carried in this holy place. Blessed be this womb where life unfolds her mysteries. Blessed be this womb where our truest self is dancing free. O sacred womb of love and grace, we can feel you all around us. We lift our hands to touch and bless you, for we are held and carried in this holy place.
Anybody see any hops?
No,
Now we have beach.
warm now, eh?
Yeah, should we open the window? That's, that we can.
Yeah, take off your sweaters, you got your shoes off. What's the next game? I just want. Oh, okay, hi, Els and Ralph. I hope you're able to watch this, and at least if you're not able to participate, at least you can hear the music. Did you hear the music okay? Oh, look at her beautiful. Look at, oh, hang on. Hang on, I want to pin that so we can see it better. Wait a minute. Okay, show it again. Look at, wow, beautiful. Thank you. That's a gorgeous one. Wow.
What did Ralph do?
Did Ralph do one? Oh, put your throat on.
He's reading the paper.
Well, that's a Mandela of its own sort. You cut those words out.
He doesn't want to dance with you?
It's hard to do this part online, I know, and I appreciate that you could sit and at least see. Did you see the Mandela happening?
Yes, I did.
Were you able to see the group? Perfect, okay. Because we're going to do it one more time, because now we've kind of had a moment to, but first let's do something. Let's everybody, can we just walk? I want you to walk. Yeah, I just want you to walk around in disorder. Let's just walk in disorder. Just walk. I'll find a piece of music, don't worry. I have no idea. Let me just see what I can find. Just keep walking, don't stop. Walk, 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 walk. Hang on 1 second. Don't stop, I gotta back out of here. Walk until I figure out what I'm doing here. There is that. Hang on, keep going. Let's see. I'm gonna do another one in a minute, but. I gotta find one that. Okay, here we go. Okay. Walk, no, just walk. Now walk very slowly. Feel your feet. You're aware of how and elbows in the bottom of your feet. Patterns. How slow can you actually make that walk? There's a form called Buto that came out of Japan, and it was a response after Hiroshima by dancers who brought everything down to the essence. And the movement can look very, they take their whole body and you move it to the place where you can barely see it moving. I'm going to ask you now just to stop for a moment, wherever your feet are. Just feel your weight. Begin to move your hands very slowly. Changing positions. Now do a weight change with your feet. Change the weight of your body somewhere. Bring it down, bring it up, whatever. Keep your hands moving like you're floating in the room. Organs of the body. Move your hips, different parts, keeping your feet where they are. Exploring the air around you. You're the only kind of bubble that we have been during COVID in our little bubbles. But you're exploring this magnificent place. You're walking in the moon. The Mandalas, the center, beginning. Ever so slowly, I want you to begin to walk again, but very, very slowly. Feeling your foot as it lifts up. Feeling your heel as you put it down. Just as slow as you can go. Keep going, keep going. Feel your breath. Feel what the carpet feels like under your feet. Feel your muscles as they're moving and finding that next step. We're all going to start moving in like a semicircle, but just doing this slowly. Like there's magnets pulling you into this. Feel energy. You have no choice. As you're moving into the center, keep your right hand. Keep moving into the center. You see someone's three other doing it. this way. Thank you.
That was nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Slow down. You move too fast. That's great. Okay, well, I don't know if we're doing a meditation tonight. I mean, I know we have from 7 till 9, but I'm not sure how you want to do that, Barb. We can do some more stuff.
Let's ask Dave if he can move it up to now.
Does he want to do it now? Yeah, I don't, he's not here.
No, I know, but why don't I give him a call?
Yeah, just to check, because I think we kind of, there's a moment where you're finished.
Yes, no, I think that was just wonderful. And if he's not available, perhaps.
The other folks are.
I could find a guided one if we want.
Let's just see.
Okay.
Because they
Okay.
will all right.
Hmm? Well, thank you for being part of the Mandela.
You're right. You have to get out of your comfort zone.
We do have to get out of your comfort zone.
I've been through it, so when you say, when your wife would, I go, I don't have one.
I don't know when it was, but I was brought out once to Galilee, but when they used to have that other house out there, there's a house, remember we used to go
Yeah.
to? And someone had invited me to come to a workshop and do authentic movement. Now, you want to get out of your comfort zone, that will take you as far out of your comfort zone as you can generally be. It's a very specific process. Now, I didn't love the person who called me to talk about this retreat and I thought, okay, sure, I thought it was movement and people, oh dear. I got there, I went into the room, and you remember that for the big room?
Yeah.
They were all sitting around their clipboards, mostly men. I can't even remember what the retreat was, it was something that could go either way, but it was very much intellectual. I thought, oh dear. How do you do authentic movement? This authentic movement is a practice where you take two people. Have you ever done something called that? No, it was made by a psychologist, Mary Whitehouse. And it's using Jungian psychology, but in the body. And what you do is you take two people, you do it normally diet, and let's say you're first and you're second. You lay on the floor. You are the witness, you are the mover. No sound, no music, no nothing. You lay on the floor until movement moves you. Now I'm giving you this a lot of it. It's the pretty rational movement, it's this and that. And dancers do it a lot to find new choreography and to find new expressions in their body. But you're the witness. So one person, the witness's job is to witness what's the mover. And maybe they're just breathing. And it's usually you do it for 10 to 15 minutes. So that person is just breathing. And sometimes they get to move and sometimes they jump around. Your job is to keep them safe and to witness what their movement triggers in you. What do you feel? You don't know what Helen's doing. You don't know why she's doing it. She might look happy or sad or cry, but you know what you're feeling. So your job is to witness and be the witness. So 10 minutes passes, you finish, and then you and Helen have a conversation and you tell Helen what you witnessed, what you felt. It's very cool. And then Helen can say what she felt, and then it's your turn to move. So there I am, standing in this room with about 35 people, 20 of them men, with clipboards. And I'm going to do authentic movement. I just took one look as I was there for just the last part of the workshop before, which was some Bible study, something. I'm like, and I remember thinking, oh God, what can I do? How can I switch this up? And I thought, no. So I put my chair, and there's only one door in that room. And I put it in front of the door, and I sat down. When it was my turn, I said, hello, I'm Wendy, and I'm here in the brochure. It says I'm doing authentic movement. I can see their faces like, what the hell? The look of terror. If it is the word I said, now you'll notice I put my chair in front of the door so you cannot escape. And I'm here to make you about as uncomfortable as you have ever been in your entire life. And I use that same line. That's where it first came. I said, I think being uncomfortable is the biggest learning experience we will ever have. So I told them what I said to them, and they were like, are you kidding me? That's like, no. I said, no, we can adapt it, so you can sit in your chair for the first part or whatever. They actually did it though. I was out, I mean, we adapted slightly and made it, but it did work. It was a moment of terror. Not for me, for them. Okay, hi, Dave.
Hi.
Hi, Dave. Thank you for coming early. We've moved and now we're ready to meditate.
Oh, okay. I'm good for that.
Okay, perfect. I am going to pin you on here. There we go.
Sorry, you're going to what?
I just pinned you. Don't worry. We're not high school or anything. It's a technical term.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, we usually do the head and neck exercises and the breathing exercises, but I looked at Lewis's model, and it seems in a group that's probably a better way to do it. So we'll start with the prayer of protection. And the prayer of protection is, as I open myself to the unseen forces that surround the throne of grace, beauty, and might, we throw about ourselves that protection that is found in the thought of the Christ. Sorry, you heard that all right?
Yes, perfect.
Who taught us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Now, the affirmation is, be still and know that I am God. The odd person is uneasy with I am God, but it refers to the spark of the Creator inside you, not to you. You still have work to do. So be still and know that I am God. Could you repeat that?
Be still and know that I am God.
Father God, use us now according to thy will as a channel of thy healing love as we hold in mind the names of those for whom we would pray. We pray for the members of this group, their families and friends. We pray for the dead folk, for those who are born this day, and for those who pass over this day. We pray for the living and the dead. We pray for those in hospital, those in prison, those suffering from wars of all types. We pray for those on the Erie prayer list. For those who are praying for thy help at this time, and those we had hold in mind at this time or wish to mention out loud. Kathleen Milne, Honey Brown, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, David. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
See you tomorrow.
Okay.